Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on July 1st, 2015. And, this was again called a bell-to-bell episode, and I felt this week's episode was rather good, with the exception storyline-wise with the Rising and the BDC. Why did they do it this way? You couldn't have done more of a build to try to do a match between the two of them to set up, or you could have done more. I feel like they could have done more setup to get to a match that would say, oh, these two groups, one of these groups will break up match. Instead, they just kind of do it out of nowhere, and it felt like it was way too early, especially the way that they went about the match. Obviously, they were going with the 4-on-3, and it's an elimination style, and hopefully, the whole Micah injury that happened in the match was more not the Micah, but the Eli Drake injury that happened mid-match wasn't an actual injury. They were just kind of kayfabing it to get to where they needed to be, which was a 4-on-1 situation with Drew versus the entire BDC. But honestly, they've been putting the Rising over so much more that now out of nowhere, okay, loser, kind of like a loser leaves town match, and there was really no build for it. The match itself was pretty good. Kind of got what you expect. I would say what you would have expected there. The BDC going over in this case, especially how they ended up building the match in general. You did have the typical setup of, oh, now it's a 4-on-1 situation. Then Drew Galloway was able to get a few people eliminated before getting eliminated himself. But all in all, that match, like, the storyline match to it just was like out of nowhere, and I didn't feel like it fit for where they were at that point in time. So overall, decent match. Storyline wise, why the heck are you going there? That's just what I gotta say on that aspect. But that's pretty much the only down point to the show I can really come up with. You had the continuation. You had them showing everything backstage throughout the night, setting up for the EC3 Kurt Angle match. The angle with James Storm and Magnus and Mickie James, I felt that promo came off really good, setting up a match with Mickie James and Magnus versus somebody in James Storm the very next week. I felt that segment came off really well. The 30-minute Iron Man match, what else can you say about that with the tag team titles? I felt the match was great. Storyline wise for the series, I wish that was the only gimmick match that they would have done. But otherwise, really good match. I liked how they set up everything, where pretty much most of the pinfalls, if not like all the falls, happened within the last 5 minutes of the match, with the Rude and Aries going up one, and then the Wolves having to battle themselves back to gain the win right at the end. I actually liked where they went with that. I felt it was a really well told story with inside that match, and they did a really good job there. The match with Brooke Tessmacher, Awesome Kong, and Tara Terrell, I felt was at least it was a pretty good triple threat match, and honestly, a good way of keep building the dollhouse at this point in time. I'm not sure where they're going with everything there, but obviously they're trying to get rid of like Awesome Kong out of the title picture, because technically she loses the match in this case. So maybe they're going somewhere with Brooke and Tara Terrell at this point in time. So we'll see where they're going with that storyline wise. Otherwise, that match was a pretty decent one in the end. And this brings me to the EC3 Kurt Angle match. You saw them do like vignettes and everything, and this is the one thing I honestly like about TNA, is how they build the world title match during the show as well, and then build it up a little bit more going into the actual match. How they do the intros you know, the walk back or the walk ups backstage and everything. You have like a little bit of their music playing, a little bit of their music playing, and then the full thing hits, and then you have the actual entrance. I like how they build that up. I like how they build everything and build the suspense going into the match right then and there. The match with Kurt Angle and EC3 I felt was really, really good. It kind of told the story throughout the entire match there. The aspect of, you know, EC3 wanting to get the world title and get it at any cost, and even having Tyrus attack Kurt Angle at a couple points. I liked at the end of the match how they actually had Tyrus, you know, get ejected from the match, and also the aspect that they didn't have the match end like 1 minute later. You always have that moment where you have the interferer, you know, get ejected from the match, yet the match still ends like 1 minute later. No, you still got a couple minutes out of the match in there, and even up to the end, I would have liked to have seen EC3 win with his finisher, but also him winning with a roll-up in this case actually fits the character in some way, shape, or form. I felt that it actually it works for the EC3 character to kind of even win it cleanly. He wins it with just a roll-up versus, oh, I had to hit my finisher again to actually win the match. And you know, you also threw off the aspect of, you know, Kurt Angle kicking out the 1%er, and then you also had every aspect of how EC3 was showing his toughness by kicking out the ankle slam and getting out of the ankle lock and everything in that aspect. I liked how they told everything inside this match. They did a really good job here, and it was good, definitely a good way of ending this particular show. You almost wish it was a pay-per-view in that case, and honestly, this one felt more of a pay-per-view than Slammiversary did, and that's unfortunate in that case, but you can definitely see why they were probably going with that aspect. They're trying to go for more TV ratings than they are pay-per-view buys at this point in time, so we'll see how they go with everything else here in the future. This week's Impact was really, really good, with the exception of the story that they built around the Rising and the BDC. That was the only downside. Everything else was really good this week, and we'll, like I said, we'll see where they continue on with any of these storylines, or where they go with them here in the very near future. And that is my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling, and I thank you guys for watching.